Good afternoon. This is BJ Hoffman, Grundy County Supervisor, with your next episode of Pasture Chatter. As you can see, we've taken our show inside, kind of. We're in a machine shed just off the edge of my pasture here in the Witten area. Today, I wanted to go through the preliminary agenda for Wednesday, April 22nd's meeting. First of all, I want to remind everybody that the meeting will be held via Zoom. So the meeting ID is 651-811-554. Again, 651-811-554. We're going to go ahead and call that meeting to order on Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We're going to make sure we get everybody paid again, do our approval for claims for payment. We'll hear from Engineer Rawl on utility permits and the work that the secondary roads have been doing. At 9:02, we have our public hearing on the fiscal year 1920 budget amendment hearing. And that's going to be addressing a few of our budget increases. And so I encourage everybody to be available. And if you have comments during that time, please let our moderator, Jess Sheridan, know, and she'll make sure that your comments are heard and you're unmuted for that. The next thing we'll do is, after that, if everything goes as planned, we will adopt that budget amendment. The next couple items will bring Engineer Rawl back to the podium, and he will talk about the revised Iowa DOT secondary roads budget and a revised Iowa DOT 5-year construction program. So I'm guessing that with the decrease in the amount of fuel tax being raised over the last month and a half or so, that we're going to see some changes to the program, and Engineer Rawl will be addressing those and any prioritization things that he's got going on. The next thing we do, we will have up for approval would be the 2019 Weed Commissioner Annual Report, and following that, we will consider a liquor license permit for the Iowa Falls Lodge 1331. And then finally, we'll tentatively wrap things up with a COVID-19 update from Emergency Management Coordinator Creighton and Supervisor McClellan. So that's what we've got. And then following the regular meeting, we'll have drainage, regular meeting at 9:30, and then 10:30. We'll do a work session talking about the relocation of JJ Avenue drainage tile. So we've got a fairly condensed agenda for tomorrow, but I think things will come together, and we'll get that budget amendment taken care of and get things back on track. So today I want to welcome a good friend of mine. He's actually a better friend of my son's, and a good mentor and a good friend. Lucas Halverson, BCLUW class of 2019, the last class that I actually got to walk across the stage, but we'll get to see. Yeah, we'll see future classes. We'll get to do that. But Lucas, I invited over. I read about him in the paper, and I've heard a lot about him. He's very active in the community, and so he's got an interesting project going on. Lucas, why don't you tell us about yourself, and then we'll go into the project, what you've got going on.
Well, 19 years old, like BJ said, graduated last year. I've lived in Conrad most of my life, born in Gladbrook, moved to Conrad about 2005, grew up here, so I love this area. I love the resources that it provides, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. So.
Okay. And so one of the things that, even to this day, so you graduated, my son's a junior at BCL. You guys are quite the anglers of the area.
We try.
Yeah. So I give my son a hard time every day when he goes out fishing. I said, "Are you going fishing today, or are you going catching?" And so last night he came home, and I said, "Well, what'd you do today?" "Well, I went fishing today." And so that kind of is the ongoing thing. Is he likes coming home being a catcher than a fisherman. So, and tell us, I guess, what you're doing that's unusual for your age and everything in society.
Well, as some of you may have heard, I am running for the county supervisor seat for District 1 of Grundy County. And it is kind of odd for somebody of my age to do something like that, but I think it will provide a lot of great opportunities for myself and for the county that I want to serve. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my endeavor that I've been going down as of late.
So my viewers may know that I usually have guests that have something pertinent to do with the county. I think this is pertinent because it does strike me odd that here's a 19-year-old young man that is going to run for public office, and it's very unique to the area. It's unique to the situation. I think if you look at the demographics of most county boards of supervisors, the median age is well over 19, and so that's different. And I thought it just brought some different perspective because I kind of feel young as a county supervisor. I'm 43, so I've got twice the age of Lucas here, and I just wanted to talk to him about the perspective of running for Grundy County Supervisor and how we can get more youth involved in government and community. So, Lucas, if you don't know the situation, I always offer my guests the obligatory 7-Up. It was what was on sale a while back. And I'll be drinking the Peace Tree Root Beer. My friends at Peace Tree Grinnell Branch provided me the other day. So we're going to start off with kind of the standard questions. What's your favorite food, Lucas?
Well, it might be a surprise to some of my friends, but I'd have to say a good steak.
Really?
Medium rare,
Okay.
preferably ribeye.
All right. Steak sauce?
No.
All right.
If it's done
right.
if it's done correctly, what's the need,
All right. Perfect. Favorite sports team?
Oh gosh. Any sports at all?
Yeah.
I'd have to say the Green Bay Packers.
Okay, we'll accept that.
Football-wise. Not a huge NFL guy, but when I do watch the NFL, it's
Yeah.
the Green Bay Packers.
Cool. Did you get a flu shot, Lucas?
I did.
All right.
I did get a flu shot.
Does pineapple belong on pizza, Lucas?
You know what? This is a question that I've often pondered myself. And if you've actually tried this dish, the idea behind it is you want the sweetness of the pineapple, of the fruit, to kind of counter with the salty and savoriness of the pizza and, the sauce, cheese, and whatnot. But I'm just not a fan. I do not think it belongs on a pizza. I understand what they're trying to do, but they're not going about it in the right direction.
Right. So, and I agree with you, Lucas. We're not going to be able to debate this at all because I don't think it belongs on pizza. I just look at the evolution of pizza. It came from Italy, nowhere near anything pineapple related. So it's one of those Americanized dishes that, it's okay. I'm not here to judge, but it's just not my thing. So different strokes for different folks. My last usual question that I always bring up, how long does a roll of toilet paper last?
Well, it depends on if we're in the middle of a global pandemic or not.
Okay.
Shoot, I guess it's not really something that I've always kept it fully in stock, so it's not something I really pay attention to, I guess.
Okay. And we're going to talk about your other endeavor, and then we can maybe get back to this. So, why don't you enlighten my guests with your commitment to the country? I know you are in the military service. Why don't you tell my guests what your role is in the military?
Well, after graduating high school, actually before graduating high school, in the December of 2018 is when I actually enlisted in the Iowa National Guard. I was continuing to go to the RSP drills that they provide prior to my leaving for basic training in June after I graduated. I spent 4 months there, Fort Benning, and I got back in September. I've been working, and I'm an 11 Charlie is my MOS, my job in the military. It's a mortarman, infantry mortarman.
So you're not like 300 miles behind the line.
Now we're front lines there,
Okay. All right, and you're not. I don't want to discount anybody's MOS in the military, but this is like the real deal. You're in the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So we've taken care of that. What was the worst part of basic training?
You know what? Whenever I get asked this question, it's hard to think of just an overall aspect of basic training. You know, everything is difficult, you know, while you're actually doing it. And then once it's over, you come to the realization that, all right, it really wasn't as bad as I made it seem. But the one thing that comes to my mind when I think of some of my worst memories, these things called the sugar cookies that we did. It is, now we're on Sand Hill in Fort Benning, and we have these giant sand pits that we do our exercises in every single morning. For a punishment one day, the entire platoon had to do these sugar cookies. So you're in your full uniform, and you get yourself soaking wet from head to toe in your full uniform. Then you march down to the sand pit, where you proceed to lay on your back and do angels in the sand until you're completely covered. Then you lay on your front, do angels in the sand until you're completely covered. And then you roll around some more until you look like a sugar cookie.
Interesting.
And the repercussions of that are every single washing machine being broke at our unit. So that was probably one of the most frustrating things about basic training.
Okay. What was the best part?
Completing it. Probably, okay. You know, I mean, I guess completing anything really, you know, like I had said, everything seems tough as you're going through it, but once you're done, you have that sense of accomplishment, and that's kind of the best part about basic training and AIT. You know, I did them back to back, so the completion of something is the best part, and the overall complete, you know, the day that you know I'm headed home, you know, I'm done with everything, is probably the best part.
Okay. What do you wish people would have told you ahead of basic training that you didn't know? Or was it pretty clear and concise?
I wish they would have told me, gosh, I can't, you know, I did so much research and I watched so many videos leading up to my leaving that there are so many different, it's so different at every other, you know, basic training place. You know, Fort Jackson is so much different than Fort Benning. So when you read up on what happens at Fort Jackson, then you go to Fort Benning, you know, I think the downtime you have at 30th AG, which is our reception battalion, which is where you go, you know, you arrive at Fort Benning, you spend a few weeks at this reception battalion before you actually go to your company you're going to be training with. And the amount of downtime that you have there, that you're just not able to do anything except sit and try not to fall asleep. That was probably the hardest part about the first few weeks was the reception battalion. So I wish I would have known a little more about that.
Okay. So let's we're gonna shift gears, like go from second to third. So you've already said you are running for Grundy County Supervisor District 1, and so I researched that. That's Highway 175 south to the Conrad area, over to the Grundy County Hard Line at Whitten, over to Beeman, and then north, and kind of hits the edge of Grundy Center, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. So unlike Hardin County, they're districted, so only people in that area will be able to vote for you or your opponent on June 2nd. Okay.
Correct.
All right. So I guess, why now, Lucas? Why did you decide this was the time to do it?
Well, you know, in my position, for as long as I can really remember, I've had that urge to kind of do what I can to help make the area that I want to call home better. You know, I want to do my part in the success of Grundy County. So sitting here, you know, even before graduating high school, I've always pondered the idea of, you know, getting on the city council of Conrad, you know, getting on the school board, doing what I can to kind of improve that area, you know. And then I saw this opportunity in becoming a supervisor for this county, and I thought, wow, you know, instead of just improving my town or my school, I can improve the county as a whole, therefore, you know, helping the school and the towns within it at the same time. So I thought, my age might be an issue because I'm young and it's kind of odd, but why not? It's,
right. And I don't think there's any right or wrong answer to it. It's just a unique thing that a lot of people don't get into politics because they have a lot of skeletons in their closet, or there's a perception that they do, or they want their private people, or that in today's society, politics is pretty ugly sometimes. The other thing that, it's typically not a career for somebody, and so those are unique, especially even to Grundy County, where they've got a 5-person board,
right.
Compared to Hardin County's 3-person board and the districting. So the other thing that's unique about what you're doing is you're challenging an incumbent. So, why challenge a sitting incumbent? What do you feel is, the logic behind that, Lucas?
Well, I think is the concern behind the people in the community, highly respected people that play a big role in Grundy County. So, when people are openly speaking about the concern they have with the leadership within their district in Grundy County, that to me says, all right, you have this chance to do something and you have this concern, so why not help these people with what they're concerned about and kind of fulfill that urge of public service.
Right.
If I want to help these people who play such a large role in our district and in our county, so I feel like this is the best road to being able to help them.
Right, and I agree. Yeah, a lot of people will say they're not in favor of term limits for elected officials because the electors, the people, choose the term limits by voting or not voting. And maybe one of the follow-up questions would be, why isn't the same old, or this is the way we've always done things, okay?
Well, I think when people see change, especially in a community like ours, it concerns a lot of people. But when that thing that you were trying to change becomes to where the point is not working, in our county, then that change is something that's needed. I feel like, it's something that people might be nervous about, but I think the people that will be nervous about it are the people that aren't really paying attention,
Right, okay. And one of the things that you're walking into, and you're walking into a job, and you can't really go to UNI for county supervisor, Bachelor of Science, or John Hopkins. This isn't like going to anything else. So how can you, how do you feel prepared to walk into the job? Because, it's a unique position.
Right. And you say job, and yes, it is a paid position, but ever since I kind of started this journey, I never really looked at it as a job.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many other options that I would be able to do, that would provide maybe a higher pay or better benefits, but I don't want to, because you don't get the same fulfillment out of that, and you're not able to help in the way you can. So I don't really see this as a job as much as I see it as kind of, like the motto I've been using, it's a job, not a calling. So, when you say that, it's something that I feel I should do, as opposed to, am encouraged to do via the benefits.
And I think especially in these uncertain times with the COVID-19, we're really finding out how essential that person at the grocery store is, that you might take for granted 300 other days out of the year, but now that we're in dire need, how important that person at Norby's is, how much that person at the local grocery store or the local convenience store is to the community. And as somebody who's practiced in healthcare, I did it because I have a servant's heart. It just feels right to me. And so you're right. If it's in your heart, it is a calling, and the paycheck is an added bonus on the gratification it brings.
Right.
Okay. So here's a little story. So in Hardin County, upon being sworn in a little over 3 years ago, I quickly learned as a drainage trustee that I'd been placed in a pair of lawsuits that started nearly 5 years to me being sworn in. So I walk in, I raise my right hand, I take the oath from Supervisor Granzel in the rotunda of the Hardin County Courthouse. I walk downstairs and I get handed several file folders full of, lawsuits I didn't have anything to do with. I'm just here. I inherited these. Mm-hmm. So how do you think, going in when you're elected or if you're elected, to adapt to the issues that are today's issues, the policies, and who knows what else, you might walk into in the Grundy County Courthouse?
Right.
How are you going to adapt to that?
Well, I think it's kind of something you have to take, one step at a time. If there were issues like that, and if I ran into a situation like that in Grundy County, for example, it would kind of just prove my point that something's not working and that there needs to be some sort of change, and something, obviously what they've been doing isn't working, in your situation. If something like that, a lawsuit has been going on 5 years, obviously, there's some change that needs to be implemented. Right. To fix something like that. I think it's something that you just have to deal with one day at a time, one step at a time, and kind of test the waters and play by ear.
Okay. Yeah, and I think in any profession, but especially as an elected official, there's got to be a little bit of a honeymoon period, but that honeymoon period can't revolve around poor fiscal decisions and stuff like that. So walking in to something, that you had no control over, it's tough, but I think you're right. You that adapt and overcome. Tell me something that you have researched on the Grundy County Board of Supervisors that you can offer constructive criticism on.
Well, one thing that I've kind of been vocal about, and one thing that I've wanted to see changed about the state of our, Grundy County Supervisors meetings, I guess, is the transparency.
Okay.
It's very difficult for an average person like me to sort of really get an idea of what goes on in those meetings, I guess. You have the layout and you have, the exact times and stuff, but unless you actually go and attend the supervisor's meeting, it's hard to find. So I would like to kind of implement. I know Hardin County, for example, does, they video record and they have, posted on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we have our YouTube channel.
Right,
yep.
Right. By recording meetings like that, you have an easier way for the people of the county to really understand what's going on and what the leaders that are supposed to be serving them are doing. And that's something that I would be interested in, I would work for if I was to be elected.
Yeah. And I've worked with Rob Meharry from the Grundy Register, who also used to cover the Eldor area. Worked with Justin Itis from Iowa Falls Times Citizen. And, they're some of the biggest fans of having the meetings broadcast. One of the reporters from KLMJ in Hampton, he used to have to drive down to the meetings. Sometimes the meetings are 10 minutes, sometimes they're 3 hours. But he can now watch and memorialize what is in the meetings. And it can be accurately reported. Right. So, if a true, melee breaks out, nobody can point fingers. It's right there on video, and it's
exactly.
Pretty hard to dispute, some of that. So, you would implement or work or collaborate with the leadership to, work on introducing more technology.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think, in this day and age, especially. Obviously, technology plays such a huge part in our society that, that's one of those things that if you're not willing to accept that and go with the times, then that's something that I think needs to be changed.
And I think, I want to give credit to my IT department, Matt Jones and Mike Pierce and Jess Sheridan. The change and conversion from the COVID situation where we closed the courthouse down and went to Zoom, it was really no big deal. We had a continuity of operations plan, so getting our public trained was a little harder than it was our leadership and everything, but I think our meetings go pretty well. And so to have that in place, I'm not sure what they're doing in Grundy County right now with, maintaining, the ability for the public to be involved. But I can tell you, looking at our numbers every week, our YouTube channel gets usually about 175 views of our meetings. And last week's Zoom meeting, I think we had close to 45 people in attendance, including supervisors from other counties watching to see how we ran things. So I just, attaboy to my crew in the Hardin County IT department. Again, Matt Jones, Mike Pierce, and Jess Sheridan. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, actually several kind of hot button issues. We're gonna keep these brief, but my parents still live in Grundy Center, and so I actually get the Grundy Register and I read it, and I, kind of compare what we're doing to them sometimes in Grundy County. One of the things that we both have in common, Grundy County went through wind turbine development a few years ago. We're going through it Hardin County now. What are your feelings on wind turbines?
Well, as from a broader, more, countrywide perspective, green energy is not really something that I've been in full support of. If this is something that is going to help the county as a whole, as far as whether it be, economic wise, or I just want to make sure that these companies aren't taking advantage of the county. And if it's something that, I guess, I'm just not in full support of them. It's
okay.
From a political standpoint, you know.
And so you said green energy. I mean, how do you feel about renewable fuels? I mean, today, before taping today, oil was actually a losing commodity.
Right.
So, what do you think about the subsidizing of oil and renewable fuels? I mean, do we need to, or actually, you just answer it.
When it comes to energy in our society today, I don't care what it is, as long as it is the most efficient. It is the most efficient as far as sustainability. Like, are we able to, are we able to store the energy? How much does it cost versus how much, it saves us? Which is it sustainable economic wise? And does it provide good jobs for the people that will be dealing with it?
Right.
As long as, I don't care what it is, if we found a way to make wind turbine energy, the most sustainable economic wise, and, as far as storing the energy, and we're able to provide as many jobs as we can for it, then, go for it. But the technology we have right now, as far as wind turbines go, doesn't support,
right,
those needs.
Okay. One of the other hot button issues that I know comes up to me a lot of times, and I really respect the people that are passionate on both sides of the issue. But how about confined animal feeding operations in the master matrix? What do you think about that?
Right, something that is very, very large and very important to our county. Obviously, farmers are the backbone to an area like this, and your county, you understand that as well. I want to make it the easiest possible for our farmers and our hog producers and stuff like that to get their job done, to make their lives easier, and in turn make our lives better. When it comes to something like the master matrix, it's not something that I think we should, dive right into, because who knows how long it could take to solve whatever we would be trying to fix.
Okay.
I say leave it be, and have it be more of a localized issue, for the hog producers and stuff to deal with. So, whatever I can do to help better and ease the lives of our farmers in the area, I'm game.
And once again, I mean, the pandemic isn't helping the situation right now,
Right.
and so, I think we need to be show some empathy right now, but yet be tactful with our decision making. So, all right. One of the things that is always brought up to me, especially during budget season, and actually a lot of the time, State Auditor Rob Sand, has an initiative how we can save money. What do you think on shared services? So in Hardin County, we take prisoners from other counties. We do some of the other work for our regional mental health services that are shared with the entire region. What do you think about shared services? Do you think there's any potential in Grundy County for any shared services, something that would, maybe make things more efficient or fiscally better?
Right. I think shared services should be a no-brainer for any county. If you have a way to better help your neighboring counties and your county as a whole, then that seems like something that should be a no-brainer. When it comes to like the prison issue, I think it would help Grundy County as far as staffing or the ability to better control and take care of the prisoners and the staff that have to deal with them. So situations like that, I think sharing services between counties is something that we should obviously be in support of.
All right, economic development. So Hardin County, we don't have districts, and so oftentimes economic development, you have to pick winners and losers. In Grundy County, you are districted, but that can bring up some unique challenges with economic development initiatives. You have a strong economic development coordinator in Conrad and Krista Grant, doing great things and pushing things along at the pace they need to be pushed. What are your thoughts on economic development and just development in general in Grundy County?
No, I think it's one of the most important things, in our county. And Conrad, like you mentioned, Krista Grant, who does such a great job. We're having this planned housing development go up within our town in Conrad, which is something I'm very excited for. Something that's very important within our county and with the towns in it is that small town feel. Everybody knows everybody. So we need to find that perfect balance between growing economic-wise and the towns within the counties, but also keeping that small town feel,
Okay. And so one of the things that is often brought up, I live in the Whitten area. Do I go to bat for projects in Radcliffe, or does BJ Hoffman support a project in Acton? So how would you deal with that if you're elected and there's a project in Dyke that may take some funding away from a project in Conrad? How do you deal with that?
I think you just, kind of like we spoke about earlier, you play it by ear. If you got to look at the issue and figure out, all right, is this something, by taking this money away from something that could potentially be done in Conrad and putting it towards something in Dyke, and ensuring that whatever that is gets completed, and is that something that could then benefit the county in the long run, therefore maybe providing some more funding for projects in Conrad in the future, or vice versa?
Sure.
That's something that I would be very interested in looking into if a situation like that was to come up.
Okay. How about budget planning and budget foresight? I mean, with the COVID-19, once again, we're back to this, pandemic, what it could do to property tax payments, how that's going to impact people's ability to pay. If businesses shutter and can't pay property taxes, having that foresight and looking to the future, do you have concerns or what are your thoughts on that, Lucas?
I think we need to make sure kind of the safeguards that the counties have to deal with things like this are fully funded and taken care of. Hopefully we never have to deal with a situation like what we're dealing with right now in the coronavirus. Hopefully we never have to deal with something like that again, but the sad truth is we probably will. So we need to learn from situations like this, what's happening with the coronavirus, and implement tactics that we may be using now or to the future to kind of prevent, some of the economic downfall that would come from a pandemic like this.
Okay. Some of my viewers know that I'm in full support of making Hardin County a Second Amendment sanctuary county, and I just thought, what are your thoughts on that, Lucas?
I'm all for it, absolutely. It's something that I feel a great number of people in Grundy County are very adamant about and would be in full support of. you look at the overall consensus from people in this community, and pretty much everybody, has a weapon that they're ready to, not be taken away by the big government.
Yeah. And I think that's an issue that Sheriff Penning's retiring this year, and so he'll be replaced by one of two candidates running for sheriff. And so, I think that'll be a collaborative effort, if and when you're elected, to work with County Attorney Allen and whoever the sheriff may be, along with the rest of the Board of Supervisors, to make, your beliefs a reality in Grundy County. So, anything else you want to tell my viewers, what you have going on? I mean, what's your call to action, Lucas?
Right, we have, as some of you might know, if you read the newspaper, which I hope most of you do, I am getting deployed come May, as of right now, come May. So that could be a concern in some people's eyes, but rest assured that there is a team that I have behind me that is willing to pick up and run with this football that we have as a campaign and ensure that it's successful and see it to the end. We have signs coming, we have postcards coming, door hangers, we want to encourage, everybody who's interested in our campaign or interested in what I'm doing to contact me. We have a Facebook page that's set up, so go take a look at those. You can find ways of contacting me, and I encourage to ask questions and just chat with me if you feel the need to. So with that.
Yeah, I know, and just to follow up on that, it is unique. We live in the 4th Congressional District, and there's a whole field of people primarying Congressman Steve King, and usually this time of year you would have some people knocking on doors, and you would have a whole lot more going on.
Right.
So this is unique to the whole situation. I mean,
right
now, everything that somebody campaigning for public office, they're going to be limited because of the governor's proclamation. And so, how's that changing things for you then?
Well, I think we're switching to a lot more virtual means of communicating with people. We just released a video on our Facebook page the other day about absentee ballots, for example. A better way of casting your vote in this upcoming primary with the certain restrictions that are out right now. Like I had mentioned, door hangers, it is not really a good time that we're able to go and speak to people around the towns in our community. So these door hangers are a good way of, getting people information that they might need, but also keeping with those social distancing guidelines.
Right. And so, without giving away any of your campaign strategy, I mean, how do you see victory coming? What's that going to take for you to be victorious in Grundy County District 1?
I see victory coming when people, turn out at the polls. We need a huge flood of voters come the June 2nd primary. We have all these supporters behind us, but spreading the word and kind of sharing what our mission is and what our plan is going to be the best way to ensure victory come June 2nd.
All right. So, and I'll remind my constituents in Hardin County that I just read today that Secretary of State Paul Pate's office will be mailing every registered voter in Iowa, both Republican and Democrat, and independent, an absentee voter form. That voter form will show up in your mail in the next week or so. It will come with prepaid means of getting your absentee request form back to, in my case, Auditor Laura, in Lucas's case, Auditor Rhonda Dieter, and they will send you out your absentee ballot. On that ballot, you will mark, or on your absentee request form, you'll mark whether you want a Republican or Democrat form. And you'll send it in, the auditor will send you back that party's form. You will then vote, and then let's just say you're a Republican today, but you wanted to vote in a Democratic primary, and you ask Auditor Dieter for a Democratic primary ballot. you'd then be registered as a Democrat for the primary, so you'd have to change your registration back later, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so then once your auditor in Grundy or Hardin County send you your absentee ballot, you will fill that out and send it in. And the postage, I believe, is prepaid to return it. And so anybody with those concerns about going out and waiting in line at the Conrad Library or one of the polling places in Hardin County could actually bypass all those concerns and fill out your absentee request form, vote absentee, and your voice and your vote will be counted, and you'll be a part of the process, and that's a beautiful thing about America. So, all right, last thing we're gonna do is, I told you to bring something from your freezer. So what'd you bring today?
Well, it's funny, we just talked about it, you know. One of the first questions when you asked what my favorite food is, I just so happen to have my favorite food right here in a nice thick cut, boneless ribeye steak.
Okay.
That
Do you know
is-
where was that sourced locally, or was that a grocery store purchase?
I got it from Fairway.
Okay, so it
I
was
bought-
Chairman's Reserve beef out of Omaha.
Right.
So fairly close to being local. All right. Well, I brought something. I brought a wild salmon fillet from the Dollar Tree.
Interesting.
So this is a 4-ounce portion of salmon that I got at Dollar Tree in a local community. I didn't even know you could buy wild salmon fillets at Dollar Tree. But hey, the more you know. So
Right.
what a deal. $1 for a 4-ounce wild salmon fillet.
There
All
you
right.
go.
Then to finish things up, as I do, I give my guests a parting gift. There's a Purell hand sanitizing wipe from the glove box of my pickup, and a package of emergency vitamin C daily immune support for you, Lucas.
Perfect.
So,
Thank you very
hey,
much.
thanks for being on the show. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you being
Thank you for
open and
having me.
honest. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a good time out here in the covered pasture area.
A little windy, but
Yeah.
you know what? It's Iowa.
It
so.
is. It's Iowa, and so enjoy. And if you have anybody you'd like to have on Pasture Chatter in coming weeks, please let me know. Other than that, have a great afternoon, and God bless.